Chegou a hora da nossa entrevista com Darren Bryce, que é especialista na indústria de recursos naturais na Esri, e com o engenheiro de soluções da Esri, Matthew Ballard. Vamos tratar aqui das mudanças recentes na rotina de trabalho nesse segmento durante a pandemia, na adoção de melhores práticas de ESG, na ampliação do investimento em tecnologia durante este período e no suporte que o sistema ArcGIS pode contribuir nas atividades em campo, além de uma perspectiva de futuro para esta indústria. E para apoio nessa dinâmica, contamos aqui no estúdio com a presença de Antônio Vilela, que é Country Manager da Esri para o Brasil. Seja muito bem-vindo, Antônio.
Muito obrigado, o prazer é meu estar aqui com todos vocês, estar aqui a falar com vocês e com os nossos colegas da Esri. Vamos lá.
Legal, Vilela. Bom, sabemos que você possui uma vasta experiência no atendimento aos clientes de mineração e meio ambiente aqui no Brasil. Antes da gente começar as perguntas para Darren e Matthew, gostaria de saber qual a sua visão para este momento que nós estamos vivenciando em plena recuperação econômica e os impactos disso nesse segmento.
Legal, Felipe. Muito obrigado. Novamente é um prazer enorme estar aqui com vocês. E respondendo à sua pergunta, Felipe, estamos observando que o mercado de mineração vive um momento ímpar no mundo. Então, os preços das commodities estão batendo recordes e o mundo precisa mais do que nunca destes insumos para a recuperação da economia global. Então, isto aliado a uma exigência de uma operação cada vez mais sustentável em todas as etapas da cadeia. Então, diria que é uma janela de oportunidade para continuar o processo de transformação digital. Já no mercado do óleo e gás, é um momento de recuperação de uma crise que começou no início aí da pandemia e caminha em paralelo com uma mudança estruturante na matriz energética no mundo. Em relação às empresas que atuam no meio ambiente, enfim, nem preciso falar, nunca passaram por um momento tão crítico e desafiador em que precisam suportar os clientes e governos no nosso maior desafio enquanto seres humanos, que é a mudança climática. Em suma, as empresas de mineração, meio ambiente, óleo e gás, ou seja, este setor de recursos naturais, precisa, mais do que nunca, continuar, ou diria concluir o processo de transformação digital que iniciaram há alguns anos atrás, para que possam ser mais eficientes e sustentáveis, de forma a superarem todos os desafios impostos na atualidade. Neste contexto, Felipe, e pensando que a operação destas indústrias é 100% geográfica, o uso dos mapas inteligentes, as análises espaciais são uma peça-chave para gerenciar melhor os recursos naturais, de forma que estas empresas aumentem a produção, otimizem os fluxos de trabalho e reduzam os riscos relacionados à operação. Então vocês que são protagonistas nesta indústria, seja gerenciando os recursos minerais, seja gerenciando recursos de campo, de equipe, o sistema ArcGIS permite que você agilize os fluxos de trabalho e maximize a produtividade. Os insights espaciais revelam novos padrões e tendências para ajudá-lo a tomar decisões mais focadas que os ajudarão na organização a ter mais sucesso. Com o sistema ArcGIS, melhore a eficiência operacional com mapeamento e análise espacial. Use o nosso sistema para atingir as suas metas e compliance enquanto mitiga os impactos ambientais. Neste sentido, Felipe, você faz as honras da casa, por favor?
Legal, Vilela, muito obrigado aí pela introdução. Vamos então dar início à nossa sessão de entrevista. Bom, direto dos Estados Unidos eu tenho Darren e Matthew. Sejam bem-vindos, bem-vindo Darren e Matthew. É um prazer imenso ter vocês aqui conosco. Darren, conta pra gente por que as empresas que atuam com extração de recursos minerais deveriam ampliar o investimento em tecnologia.
Hola, and firstly a big thanks to Imagine for this opportunity to present this Natural Resources Summit. My name is Darren Bryce, and I'm part of the Global Business Development team focused on mineral resource sector for Esri, and I'm calling in from Ontario, Canada today. And I'll be joined by my colleague Matt Ballard, who's a solution engineer, and he's based out of Texas in the US, who will be addressing some of the questions and providing some technical demos to support our responses. My quick answer to your question, Felipe, on why should mineral resource companies be investing in technology would be that you're probably not going to be around long if you're not investing and leveraging from the innovations in technology that are continuously expanding in the mining sector. It's obviously more complex than that. And certainly just throwing money at technology is not going to work effectively either. And therefore, a well thought out technical strategy that spans across the mining value chain is critical to the success of any project or company. And going a bit deeper on this, when we see companies have a well-planned and executed technical strategy that is cohesive across their business functions, it's these companies that are positioned for success. A prominent exploration manager for major mining companies years ago shared with me that he felt that a key part of their exploration success was their approach and thinking around technical success. And this involved rapid turnaround of exploration targets and projects. And he impressed upon his teams to be comfortable with failing fast. And what that meant, it's inherent of exploration and the reality that only a small number of targets and projects result in a tier 1 deposit that's required to move the financial needle for a major mining company. So having the right tools, the processes that's repeatable, and ultimately the right people to work through these projects systematically will help to ensure technical success. And every technology and solutions are applied across the mining value chain. And in conjunction and integration with a number of our partners in the mineral resource sector, it's these collaborations with our business partners that are critical to Esri's ability to scale and provide subject matter expertise across the mining value chain. And this is done through deep integrations and solutions built on open Esri technology. This partner program is mature, and Esri is always looking at evaluating more strategic alliances. And our partners are leveraging from an extensive developer tool set.
Legal, Darren. Em 2020, o mundo passou por uma mudança repentina. Com o avanço da pandemia, empresas em todo o globo tiveram que mudar rapidamente os seus métodos de trabalho para se adaptarem à nova realidade. Houve uma grande mudança na rotina de trabalho, envolvendo reuniões não presenciais e atividades gerenciadas à distância. Muitas pessoas começaram a trabalhar basicamente de suas casas. Nesse contexto, como você entende que o setor de recursos naturais responderá à recuperação pós-Covid? Você acha que demanda por tecnologia será maior?
Let's see if I can break this question down a bit, Antonio. Obviously, no person or industry has been untouched by this global pandemic, including the mineral resource industry. And Esri's certainly made a quick pivot and found ways to leverage our solutions and offerings to support our customers across all of our sectors. A good example of this is the one built by a team by Johns Hopkins and shown here and underpinned by Esri technology. This has been a key instrument for business and people in general to understand and track the trends to not just at a local level, but at a global level. And we've seen a proliferation of these dashboards to help with business continuity. Within the mineral resource sector, our customers were either utilizing our various tools, and in some cases, tracking of people to and from sites or within office environments. And in some cases, employing Esri services to help configure or build tools to manage their company COVID protocols. And again, just to help with the health and safety. In some cases, they're utilizing Survey 123 or other field applications in conjunction with ArcGIS Pro and dashboards to further synthesize the data and understand and manage their workforces. And when I reflect back now on the impact on the mining sector as a whole, with mineral resources deemed pretty much globally as an essential service, outside of that initial shock and emotional shock and adjustments required under the local COVID restrictions, it was somewhat business as usual. It is not to downplay the work and investments that companies had to make and continue to do for the health and safety of their employees. I think the benefit of the mining industry, though, ties somewhat to that first question around technology innovation. And this industry is ahead of the game somewhat. If you think about where we are on the digital transformation curve, and it's the inherent nature of our business where people are having to be agile and are mobile in their jobs and working in remote environments, and they're disconnected from their teams, and that they have to collaborate around projects and mines globally. And Esri certainly pivoted quickly to help support companies across all the sectors we serve, in mining as well. to keep businesses going safely. And this work, as I mentioned, is ongoing. And I think as countries start to come out of this pandemic, there are various global stimulus activities that are already started, such as the ones that are happening in the US and China, where they're having huge infrastructure investments into roads, electricity, transmission railways, and bridges. And this is all in parallel with the other initiative, which is getting traction on our sustainable, greener future. And so that is just, I think, compounding the demand on resources, the demand for battery minerals, copper, lithium, cobalt, and aluminum, all being in high demand.
Excelente, Darren. Muito obrigado. Bom, aqui no Brasil, a adoção das melhores práticas de ESG tem se mostrado uma necessidade crescente para a indústria de recursos naturais. Darren, você poderia falar um pouco sobre a importância dessa governança na operação das empresas ambientalmente sustentáveis, não apenas no âmbito do meio ambiente ou da sociedade, mas também no papel dos acionistas dessas companhias?
ESG is such an important area of discussion and focus for the industry, Felipe. The push from governments around the world and society in general for a sustainable future is core to Esri's ethos, and to which will be a centerpiece of the plenary at this year's user conference. In a mining context, the shareholders, as you've mentioned in your question, are demanding that mineral resource companies in which they're investing to demonstrate how they're improving or reducing their carbon footprints in the communities they're operating. And this was underscored in many of the talks at virtual global mining conferences earlier this year. And there's this push of reduction in emissions and migration to electric vehicles. It's all going to require an immense amount of battery minerals and infrastructure to support this. So everything from lithium, cobalt, copper, and aluminum will be required to move to this electrification of all things. And we're even seeing these large autonomous haul trucks going electric. And a key area of ESG attention for mining companies has been around the tailings facility management. The ICMM, or International Council of Metals, Mining and Metals, have established and driving a global industry standard on tailings management, in which companies are all looking to align with and to ensure the safety and preservation of the environments and the communities that they're operating. I'd like to hand this now across to my colleague Matt, who, as I mentioned, is a solution engineer, who's going to provide a bit of a demo on what we're doing in this area to support mining companies.
All right, thank you, Darren. Tailings facilities pose a significant ESG risk to mining companies today. Past disasters have caused significant economic, social, and environmental impacts that need to be mitigated, and this is top of mind for nearly every mining company today. For any tailings storage facility, numerous technologies are being used to monitor them, all with the goal of detecting and preventing issues from happening. These technologies include remote sensing, IoT devices, or field data that's been collected through inspections. In ArcGIS, you can integrate all of these different sources of data into a single comprehensive application that you can use to help manage tailings facilities. ArcGIS can help you to detect potential issues and also communicate with key stakeholders, whether it's through investors, management, or otherwise. Here, I'm looking at a tailings facility dashboard. First, on the left, I can see field data that's been captured using a mobile application. This chart shows me the number of inspections that have occurred each day, and the color corresponds with the risk of the inspection. So acceptable is green, yellow represents low risk, orange, moderate risk, and red, high risk. I also see pictures of those inspections so that I can remotely review those from the office. And on the map, each of these dots corresponds with one of those inspections, which I can click on to find more information about them, such as in this case, the individual observed deformation, settlement, or sinkholes. So we're able to visualize all these inspections back in the office. And in the field, users are using a mobile application to collect information like their name, the date that the inspection occurred, the location on the tailings facility that they're inspecting through this embedded map, and some other general information like the site name, area of the facility, and weather conditions. Now, depending on which answer I provide for this section, I get different subsequent questions. So upstream dam slope has specific questions associated with that area, and dam crest has a separate set of questions. As I come through here, I can answer each of these as no or yes if I do observe something, and provide any pictures or closing remarks, such as the severity of findings. If there's follow-up actions required, I'll say yes, so that way management can be notified and a follow-up can be scheduled. When I'm done with that, I can send it back and it'll automatically populate my dashboard. Now, field data collection is one source of data that's being used to monitor tailings facilities. The other one I mentioned is around sensors or IoT devices or Internet of Things devices. Here on the map, I'm going to turn on another layer that represents piezometers. These piezometers are measuring water level within this tailings facility. Each of these blue diamonds represents one. Now, it's really important to be able to spatially filter data sets to look at how sensors that are nearby each other are behaving. So I'll go ahead and select these 4 sensors that are down here, and it's going to generate a chart to show me historical measurements coming off of those devices. In this case, average hourly pressure over the last few months. We can quickly observe trends and patterns within the data and understand how co-located sensors are behaving. Now, on top of IoT devices, we're also bringing in remote sensing data. Below all of this is an imagery base map. This imagery comes from Sentinel-2, which is available within Esri's Living Atlas, and we update it very frequently with new data. Using that Sentinel-2 imagery, you can analyze and look for water content within the tailings facility. I'll go ahead and turn on another layer that represents the boundary of the pond within this tailings facility. Now, this has been analyzed over several time periods, and I can see how those different, how these pond boundaries change over time. And we can compare those boundaries against distances from the crest of the dam. And this is important for making sure that we're ensuring the correct beach lengths, the distances between our pond and the crest, to make sure that this tailings facility is operating safely. And as well, generate charts over here showing us how the pond area has changed over time and how that might relate to weather events that are also being monitored, and how this correlates to the overall water content of this tailings storage facility. So this dashboard, it really helps me to integrate all these disparate sources of data, break down data silos, and help generate new insights that you might not see if the data was in separate applications. As well, tools like these are really useful for communicating with key stakeholders, which is absolutely critical for ESG. This represents a single facility, but this could also be for many global facilities, giving you an instantaneous insight into the health of tailings facilities at any location. Ultimately, this is all to help detect and observe issues and respond and mitigate those to ensure that you're operating environmentally, economically, and socially in a safe way. Thank you, and I'll pass it back over to Darren.
Excelente, muito obrigado, Derek e Matt. Bom, é impossível falar em recursos naturais sem mencionar a quantidade imensa de trabalhos de campo envolvidos nos projetos de pesquisa. Darren, você poderia exemplificar como o sistema ArcGIS pode ser útil na gestão e suporte dessas atividades externas?
Certainly a major area of engagement in the mineral resource sector, Antonio. It's been a long time since I worked in the field, but I can still recall my manager reminding us young geos that mines are found out in the field, not from the office. And obviously technology and communications have come a long way over the past couple decades, and allowing geoscientists to leverage from an increased range of collaboration tools to support teams on site in the field, in offices, coffee shops, or airport lounges, all collaborating and making decisions in virtually real time. And I recommend, if you have a chance, to check out the ArcGIS blog that I have on screen right now. And this was produced following the Dev Summit earlier this year. And these have some really good embedded links to the various sessions on the various field applications. But this is a good time to pass it back to Matt to show our suite of field applications in use.
All right, thanks, Darren. Field data collection is critical to mineral resources, as Darren has mentioned. Companies need to collect accurate data in remote locations without any internet connection. And applications, they need to be simple to use and easy to configure. ArcGIS has a suite of mobile applications to support all of your data collection needs. Let's look at an example of how ArcGIS Pro and ArcGIS Field Maps can support exploration data collection workflows out in the field. So starting off, I'm in ArcGIS Pro, where I've got a map that has some soil sampling locations and some soil geochemistry, which are these yellow dots. Red represents higher gold concentrations. And then I also have some blue outlines for claims or leases. Now, what we want to do before we go out of the field is actually plan where we're going to do some soil sampling. And so we can use ArcGIS Pro to, in this area, do some soil samples. First step for this task is to actually to digitize a new claims boundary. So I'll go ahead and draw this area and go to the next step. Now what we can do is we can create an equal grid that matches our soil sampling areas down here. And we can do that in our current extent and press run. Now what this is going to do is create a grid that matches exactly what we have in these other areas. And this will guide where we go out and collect samples when we're out in the field. All right, with that done, the next step is to clip this down to just our area of interest, which are the claims boundaries. We can press run. And now, in just a second, I'll have a data set that only has this equally spaced grid within our new area of interest that we're going to go out into the field and collect, matching just what we have below. What I'll do now is just add a field for the sample number and to our soil sample points layer. Now, I've built this map, and the next step is actually to go share it. So I went up to the share ribbon at the top and pressed share web map. And here, I can configure my map, give it a title, a summary, and make it editable. So that way users are able to actually create and edit new features. And I'll go ahead and press share. Now, before I do that though, something else I want to do is prepare a new base map for me to take out into the field. So I've got another map I've created here, which is a geologic map. It has information like roads, rivers, trails, streams, and bedrock geology. So this map here that we're looking at, I want to be able to take this into the field, and I can use the vector tile packages to do that. So I've just created this vector tile package. It's a highly performant base map that we can open up in ArcGIS Field Maps. So we've prepared our map here, and now I can go ahead and share this. I've jumped over my web browser where I can access ArcGIS Field Maps from my app launcher. In here, you're able to configure everything else that you need to in order to be ready to take this map out into the field. That includes things like offline settings, which we can access by opening up this soil sampling map. First, I see some generic information like the title, who created the map, and when it was last updated, as well as some other information about things like its offline status and how it's shared. Under the content section, I can see all of the different layers that are in my map, such as this outcrops layer, our soil sample locations, and our claims boundaries. In here, I'll also get access to the form. So each of these layers has different form configurations. And under the offline section, this is where I can actually enable offline mode. So by toggling that on, I'll be able to configure this for offline data collection. This green check mark indicates that my layers are all ready to be taken out of the field. And then I can go configure some map areas. Map areas allow you to package these predefined offline sections of your map so that users can download them before going out into the field. So to build one, I selected Manage Areas, and this opens up a new window where we are able to now specify our area of interest. In here, you can specify the level of detail for the base map, and then specify how often you want these packages to update, such as every day, every week, or every month. And then as well, you can automatically schedule these updates to be pushed out to devices so that users always have the most up-to-date maps. With my settings configured, I can go ahead and save this. So that way my map will get packaged and I'll be able to go and open it up on my mobile device. Now I've jumped over to my tablet where we can actually start to collect some data. Here I've got ArcGIS field maps, which I can open up and find and access all of my different web maps. That includes our soil sampling map, which I can go ahead and open, and I can see that map area that we just created back on the web application. Now, if I need to create another offline area, I can also do that out in the field. So I don't need to rely on pre-planned areas, but I can actually go ahead and create a new offline area on the fly. For now, though, I'm just going to go ahead and open this map area we already created. And I can see all of those different data layers and information available to me. One thing I can do now is I can start to collect some data. So I clicked on one of those pre-planned soil samples, and I'll go ahead and edit it and add a sample number. If I want to take any pictures of those samples, I can also do that here. And that includes things like audio files and more. The next thing I'll do is collect some information on, or edit some data, in this case, on an outcrop that we observed. So we can capture information like strike and dip and a description of that data and update the information out there. Or I can go and collect, in this case, a new observation of an outcrop and provide, again, a strike and dip measurement. I've submitted all that data, and now the next thing I need to do is actually sync this back. Since I took this map offline, once I get connected back to the internet, I can go back out here and choose sync, and that'll send all of the edits that I've made back to ArcGIS. In here, I have access to all those different base maps, including the one that I created earlier in ArcGIS Pro to give me extra context out in the field. Now, ArcGIS Field Maps is one of our applications, but you saw earlier how Survey 123 could also be used to collect inspection data, for example, on a tailings storage facility. So a more form-based inspection, such as the one that we saw here. We also have ArcGIS Quick Capture. Quick Capture is an even simpler button-based mobile data collection app where you're able to collect information by simply clicking one of these buttons. For example, if I observe some hazardous wildlife, all I have to do is click that or click an endangered species, and it immediately captures those points. Whether your data collection needs are simple, like with Quick Capture, or more complex with geologic exploration, like in that Field Maps example, we have the mobile application to help you collect data. Thank you, and I'll go ahead and pass it back over. Thank you.
Excelente, muito obrigado, Darren e Matthew. Bom, Outra etapa fundamental para a indústria de recursos minerais é a logística, que envolve o recebimento dos materiais e o escoamento da produção por meios multimodais, envolvendo rodovias, ferrovias e hidrovias. Como o sistema ArcGIS pode apoiar o setor, monitorando esse transporte desde a saída da unidade de produção até a entrada aos compradores mundiais?
The area of logistics planning and materials management is such a large area of investment and expense for a mining company, Felipe. The movement of bulk commodities and products from mines to ports to refineries and ultimately to a customer. So anything we can do to optimize and be more efficient will go straight to a company's bottom line. At Esri, we're supporting our mining customers from real-time tracking of both people and materials, people tracking from a health and safety perspective and ensuring their effectiveness, to visualization and analysis of materials management and tracking. With everything having a location, it is mappable. So for logistics, sales, and supply chain management. So understanding a terminal facility inventory, which terminal might have material that I need for a project. Where are my customers in comparison to my material stockpiles? Insights into where my competitors might be working in relation to a project. And analysis on where best to build a terminal or quarry. We do work on routing, assessing drive times for optimal driving routes, understanding road weight restrictions, construction delays, etc. Weather tracking, what could be affecting a drive route, or simply knowing when we can pour concrete. Vehicles can all be monitored in real time, so tracking and knowing when products have been delivered and did they meet specification.
Perfeito, sensacional. Para finalizar, Darren, qual a sua visão para o futuro em relação ao uso do ArcGIS na indústria de mineração?
I would say the future of ArcGIS in the mineral resource industry is not just bright and go as far to say it's going to be instrumental to a company's technical strategy, Antonio. With so many countries are either already or planning to stimulate their economies, this is going to put a significant demand on commodities. And as mentioned a couple of times, the push by governments and pressure by shareholders on the companies to reduce their carbon and emission footprints, this is going to further compound this demand around on the battery minerals, as well as the materials to construct and support the renewables industry in the way of solar panels, windmills, and all the infrastructure to support it. So what would I say are the key ArcGIS components for the future? ArcGIS Pro will continue to be a key workhorse for geoscientists, along with the integration of various field apps. Many mineral resource companies are also seeing the potential competitive advantage from leveraging from the cloud infrastructures. And this is the best way for disconnected teams to collaborate and analyze information and data to make timely decisions, taking advantage of Kubernetes and the scalability of a geospatial cloud infrastructure. We are globally engaged in supporting customers around the remote sensing and imagery management challenges. Again, utilizing the power and scalability of the cloud for processing and analysis of data. And the development community and a number of our large enterprise-sized customers are now embracing ArcGIS platform. So with that, thanks again for this opportunity and enjoy the rest of your Natural Resource Summit.
Perfeito, Darren e Matthew. Felipe, de novo, uma aula estar aqui com o Darren e com o Matt, foi espetacular. Agradeço a presença de vocês, Darren e Matthew, a todos os que estão escutando. Continuamos à disposição e espero que aproveitem o Summit que preparamos aí com bastante carinho para vocês.
Muito obrigado e continue conosco.